I'm back on the road exploring more of our magnificent nation.
The most incredible vista.
As ever, I'm joined by my trusty camper, named after one of my favourite people, Helen Mirren.
Oh, well done, Helen.
We're off to amazing spots.
I love it.
You're on the telly.
Hi, Mum.
Enjoying local pastimes.
And we're off.
Hunting out quirky customs.
Oh, what is going on?
You won.
Oh, Dad!
And meeting great people.
I love the way you think. It's quite a big flame, that. I'm just going to breathe it all in. It sounded like a bunch of Glaswegians approaching.
It's a feast for the eyes.
Absolutely spectacular. That has raised the heart rate.
Ears.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
And all the senses.
That is beautiful.
We live in a land full of wonder. So come along on my grand day out.
Woohoo! Let's go!
This time, I'm blazing a trail through Cheshire and its surrounding countryside, home of inspiring pioneers and amazing sights.
That view is spectacular.
I'll be commanding ancient armies,
Vexillarium testi tudo.
learning chaotic crafts,
You're meant to be making a cone.
revealing cosmic secrets,
Now that's what every control room needs, a red button.
and discovering groundbreaking moves
No one better come near me now, I tell you that.
in a breathtaking place.
That van just went past and did this. That Helen. Yes, she is special.
Helen and I are starting our journey just over the border from Cheshire in Llangollen, one of North Wales' most treasured views.
This is, I think, a pretty spectacular place to plan my adventure. It's gorgeous, isn't it? So, let's take a look at the map. Now, I'm going to be crossing some borders, which Helen always loves. So, I'm starting here.
Then I'll travel down the stunning Llangollen Canal, next cross the Welsh border to investigate Roman Chester and the revolutionary secrets of Manchester. I'll head south to explore Stoke-on-Trent and its world-famous pottery, trek up to unearth intergalactic revelations, and finally pootle around Cheshire's beautiful countryside to unearth salty Northwich.
The weather is holding up just now, but I'm still wearing my pack-a-mac, just in case. Safety first, that's my motto. Let's get going. I love Wales, and it's so nice in this part of the country to be able to pop across and just have a wee jaunt.
I'm in the mood to take to the water along the Llangollen Canal.
I love travelling by canal boat. It's a very gentle way of seeing the beautiful countryside. And on this particular stretch, there's apparently a spectacular sight that I can't miss. So I found someone who's going to take me on what I suspect will be a pretty epic journey.
Skipper Adam has grown up using the canal and now runs a local boatyard.
Hello, Adam.
Lovely to meet you.
Nice to
Welcome
meet
aboard.
you. Shall I just perch myself here?
Don't fall in the water.
I will not.
I always value a safety briefing.
We're away.
When did you start coming onto canal boats?
My nana and Tide used to bring me here when I was a kid. I grew up not far away, so my first ever narrowboat trip would have been with them when I was about 4.
Hello. Well, we're going quite slowly, so if you do it really quickly, it's like the paparazzi on bikes.
But this kind of paps I don't mind one bit, and it's rather flattering as there's lots to see.
I've never been on a canal that's this busy in my life.
Yeah, it's one of the busiest stretches in the country. A lot of people, if they notice that the boat is going wrong, they tend to put more power on, they accelerate.
Yeah.
So it's better to crash slowly than quickly.
Crash slowly then quickly. Remember that, kids. I'm going to take that with me, Adam.
It's all yours.
No chance of a crash with Adam in charge.
said this was like a 16-ton boat, and he's just pulling it himself. He's a bit of a Welsh god. I've gone all giddy.
Have a word, Susan. Have a word.
Right then, windlass time.
Right,
Let's go.
Okay.
Best to focus on the job at hand. We need to raise a canal bridge so we can pass.
So, windlass goes on.
Uh-huh.
A windlass, that's a handle to non-boaties.
Let me have a go. Come
Go
on.
for it.
You
All
don't,
yours.
you don't need to do it all.
If it doesn't get all the way to the stop, the boat won't fit under the bridge. Almost there.
No, we're not almost there
You
in
are,
the
you are.
slightest.
You're almost halfway.
Right, take over for a bit, Adam.
Of course, canal idle makes it effortless.
Come on, let's move the boat.
Luckily, some of the bridges don't need raising.
I don't need to duck.
You'll be all right.
I don't need to duck.
I can just make it.
We're approaching the star attraction, Ponkersilta Aqueduct, the tallest navigable canal aqueduct on Earth.
I've seen an aqueduct before, but this is apparently like...
It's huge. It really messes with your vision. So even me, I still get a bit jelly legs.
Uh-huh. You've been a wonderful guide.
Thank you very much. Very kind.
Adam said it can sometimes give you a bit wobbly legs. I'm not great with heights, so we'll see how this goes.
Don't forget to look down.
Okay. That man said, don't forget to look down, which says to me it's going to be quite terrifying. Right, okay. Tallest aqueduct. Come on now.
Is literally just the width of the boat. First of all, we're very high up, but this is the right place to sit because that view is absolutely spectacular.
Made of 18-stone piers supported by cast iron arches, it's more than 125 feet high.
Oh my goodness! It's basically crossing the valley. You can see for miles across the glorious countryside. What a special thing to do. Isn't it beautiful?
Opening in 1805, it was designed by engineering genius Thomas Telford to transport Welsh slate and coal to England.
Down here, there's a beautiful river coursing through the countryside. All the ingredients for absolutely the best possible start to my journey.
Coming up, I issue some orders.
Vexillarium intenti! If that was my shopping, I'd be delighted.
And I discover how the suffragettes
This is where women stood up and fought for the vote.
had a surprising sideline in martial arts. It's a grand day for a grand day out in Cheshire.
What a glorious day it is. Helen looks absolutely at her best, sun glinting off her beautiful flowers. I've got my shorts on. I've got my shorts on. It's very rare my legs are exposed to sunshine, but today's the day. It just lightens the mood, doesn't it? So, toot toot, off we go.
I'm heading across the Welsh border into Chester, which I've heard is lovely today and was just as popular in Roman times.
So when I was younger, I learnt Latin, and I had a pretty inspirational Latin teacher called Mrs. Thompson, and she taught us about the Romans.
Chester's gorgeous city centre was once home to one of the biggest Roman fortresses in Britain, surrounded by walls built by the Romans nearly 2,000 years ago.
Now, it is actually my first visit to Chester, and it is stunning, but archaeologically and historically it's hugely important. I'm walking above the original Roman walls here, and if you look over, you can actually see them. So this walkway is built on top of those original Roman walls.
At 2 miles long, these epic walls are the longest, largest and most complete in Britain.
In Roman times, this would have been the centre of the universe in this place. And there still is. People are still using them. And it's lovely. that we still have that chance today to literally walk in the footsteps of the Romans.
On the edge of the fortress was the biggest amphitheatre in Britain. Built like the Colosseum, it could hold around 10,000 people.
Chester has embraced its Roman heritage because there's a gentleman standing in full Roman uniform over there. So I think it's only polite that I go and talk to him.
Paul is a Roman enthusiast who runs a Chester tour group.
Hello, soldier.
Salary.
This is a big space.
It's also a business. Somebody had to invest the money to build it and then hope to get a return from people coming here to watch the spectacle. So we know that whilst watching people being killed and murdered here, people are eating barbecue beef ribs because they've found the remains of those under the seats.
Entertainment-wise, what were they watching?
It's the spectacle of the Munera, the Roman Games. This place is the final metering of what happens if you mess with Rome. The day usually starts with the tethering stone. The place to tether criminal to, and then watch them trying to fight off the beasts around them. Wild boars, bears, bulls, wolves. The reason that stone's in the centre is because you can't hide against the wall. They've come to see a show and they want their bit.
They haven't paid for a restricted view ticket, have
exactly.
The main event would be the brutal gladiator contests.
The gladiators are often aligned with WWE wrestling. We're pretty sure that there was lots of conning going on.
Don't you start telling me that giant haystacks, that wasn't real? So they would perform as well?
I would think so. A
Yeah,
lot
of
of their costume, they're mostly naked, apart from key areas of the body which are padded, and then they have streamers hanging off, so the people at topsies can see your arm moving, so they can see the speed
Chicks
of
of
the
the
fight.
trade. It's all about getting a reaction from the crowd. You want to be the person people remember and want to come back and see. Some gigs I've done feel gladiatorial, I'll be honest.
As well as bloodthirsty entertainment, the amphitheatre would have been used for Roman soldier training.
Paul's given me a couple of commands in Latin to shout at himself and a few of his Roman compatriots. You ready?
This is for you, Mrs. Thompson.
Vexellario intenti! Oh, they picked up their shields. Right, OK. If that was my shopping, I'd be delighted. Vexellario testi tudo! Oh, right, OK. That's an attacking formation at that point. Advancy! Just made up that Latin word. Mrs. Thompson will be delighted. Oh, gosh. There they are.
Well, it seems to be working anyway. Not sure we learnt that one.
That sounded like a bunch of Glaswegians approaching. Soon, soon, soon. Well done. I can command a legion of men.
But then I'm used to challenges, like driving Helen.
You young'uns don't know you're born with your power steering. My mini metro drove like it was a tank. You had to turn a corner, you had to prepare yourself about 6 miles beforehand.
I can't resist exploring the hidden corners of Manchester. 40 miles northeast is the vibrant Chinatown. It's the third largest Chinatown in Europe. After World War II, there were labour shortages in Britain, leading to an influx of settlers from China, particularly Hong Kong, which was then a British territory. The first restaurant opened in the 1940s, and since then the area has become a lively cultural centre, famous for its New Year's celebrations. I've been invited to a Chinese lion dance rehearsal to find out about this cultural phenomenon.
Incredible to watch. Incredible. Down. That was incredible.
Loris has been lion dancing since she was a child and regularly performs at Manchester events.
As someone who's dabbled in dance, I did ballroom and Latin.
Yeah.
This was something that I've never seen before. Tell me what line dance is.
The mythology behind it is that During Chinese New Year, there'd be this spirit or monster that would come to the Chinese villages and destroy all the crops. One year, the villagers decided to come together and they built this monstrous-looking head. They used it to scare off the spirit. So that's why we always perform lion dance during Chinese New Year now, because we're warding off all the bad luck and we're bringing in the good luck.
You were at the head, and then there's someone behind as well.
Yeah, bent over.
So you're trying to juggle literally so many different things.
Doing the head is probably a bit more mentally taxing because you have to be so aware of what's going on. Whereas if you're the bum, physically it's very taxing. Or you don't really need to be thinking as much as long as you follow the cues.
It's like any dance partnership, actually.
Yeah.
You have to trust each other. Sometimes when I speak to people about these kind of things, they say there's no one to pass it on to. But you're all very young and keeping it going.
Especially in Manchester, we have quite a big Chinese community. The reason we all do this is because we genuinely love it so much.
I do not know how you do it. I struggle to do a basic ballroom step. It's magnificent what you do. It really is. That is one of the most spectacular things I've ever seen.
My next stop is just 2 miles away, because Manchester is the surprise home of a fearless movement that changed the world forever.
If I say suffragettes to you, I hope you know what I'm talking about. The group of brave and courageous women who fought to get the vote. Now, they ultimately achieved their aim, but do you know what I'm interested in? I'm interested in the beginning. And here in Manchester, off this busy road, this is where it all started.
Emmeline Pankhurst was born in Manchester and in 1903 founded the Suffragettes, a militant campaigning action group at number 62 Nelson Street. She also lived here with her family. I'm honoured to find out more from Helen Pankhurst, Emmeline's great-granddaughter.
It is so incredible to meet you here, specifically here.
There's so much history in this place. This is where it all started. This is where women stood up and fought for the vote rather than quietly, nicely asking for it.
So this was her house.
Yes.
And this was her parlour. And this is where the first meetings took place.
Yeah.
What do you think it was about Emmeline that made her so powerful, so able to lead a movement?
She is a widow. She is the head of the family. All of the girls take on a role, so it becomes this family cause. And then the amazing sisterhood that develops. One of the things we need to really admire them for is the PR savviness. The machinery around communications is incredible.
But it soon became clear that peacefully protesting their point wasn't having an impact. So Emmeline turned to disruptive action.
Women who are supposed to be obedient and quiet use domestic items to create mayhem. A toffee hammer, they use it to break windows. A mustard jar to make explosives.
Their disruption led to imprisonment, where they continued their protests with hunger strikes and were brutally force-fed.
So a medal for valour, which was given to the suffragettes who had been imprisoned and force-fed, they would get one of these bars each time they went.
Oh, goodness
So
sakes.
sometimes you will see the medal with lots of bars. Just the idea of going to prison, then the idea of not eating, then the idea of being force-fed, not once, not twice, but repeatedly.
It's the bravery. And I often think about that. When you think about it, apologies, would I have the bravery to do what they did? I don't know if I would. I hope I would. But they didn't they? And they earned medals like that. And it's quite awe-inspiring.
It is the perseverance with which they fought their campaign. These women who stood up and said that women didn't have to be quiet and submissive. It's giving women confidence in who they are and what they can be, in their ambitions, in their dreams.
My goodness. What was it like growing up with that name?
A lot of the work that I do, and I have continued it because I felt that job's not done. If they were here now, in this room, here, right now, would they be saying, it's all done, it's all dusted?
Wouldn't.
They wouldn't.
No, they wouldn't. There is nothing, I think, more powerful than finding your voice. To sit here is so special. Thank you very much.
Real pleasure.
I'm going to have a small weep in the corner now, actually, if that's OK. My goodness. It's not what I expected to happen in a garden.
At protests, the suffragettes often had to protect themselves from police and other opponents. And just outside, Jen and Lauren are practicing a surprising form of suffragette self-defence.
Hello, can I interrupt?
Absolutely.
Oh my
Do come in.
goodness. What is it you're doing?
This is suffragitsu. Jiu-jitsu was brought over to this country in the late 1900s.
And it soon became part of the suffragette movement after a 1910 march on Parliament that became known as Black Friday.
There were about 300 suffragettes there. Against them, there were 6,000 police.
That would be terrifying. Absolutely terrifying.
And there were an awful lot of women who were both physically and sexually assaulted.
A horrific event.
Absolutely horrific, yeah. The suffragettes realised they needed a method of defending themselves. And they'd heard of a lady called Edith Garrett.
Right.
Edith was not much taller than you. I think she was 4'11".
That's precisely how tall I am.
Excellent, excellent. Edith was probably this country's first female martial arts instructor.
Really?
And she trained a group of the suffragettes who were designated to protect the Pankhursts when they were out on protest.
And these two still know the moves used by the suffragettes over 100 years ago.
I just want to make this clear. This is a friendly bout, ladies and gentlemen.
Imagine you're holding a pint of lager, and you're going to lift that pint up over Lauren's wrist and put it on the other side.
I think I'm a natural and ready for the next move.
What are you going to do here? Superman. Straight up through the middle.
Yeah. So, like that?
That's it, yep. But if you need a bit more time to get away, do you want to trip her as well?
Oh, God. Right.
I really do. And thankfully, I don't think she minds.
So you're going to grab me.
You're going to...
OK, so I do that.
Yep.
I get you there. I go
That's it.
there. And then I
Tip your
just
toes.
put my
That's
foot
it.
down. That's really easy, actually, isn't it, to trip someone like that? I'm wondering why I've never learnt that before.
I know, right?
I can only imagine that when the adrenaline's going and you're faced with what's coming towards you, that this would give them the confidence to do something to help themselves a little bit. It's amazing. No one better come near me now.
Thank you, Manchester, for the suffragettes and for suffragitsu. Coming up, comic pottery.
It didn't look like this in the film Ghost, did it?
And cosmic close encounters.
Can you hear me?
I can't hear you.
I'm exploring Cheshire and its surrounds.
I always treasure these little moments when it's Helen and me in the countryside, just pootling along, stopping wherever we want. That's the joy of it. It's not that I'm a control freak or anything. Shut up. What are you saying? I'm spontaneous. As long as it's planned in advance and I know where I'm going.
I've popped just over the Cheshire border to Stoke-on-Trent, a region world famous for its pottery.
In my house, I've got what I call my cabinet of precious things. It's a display cabinet, and it's full of little treasures I've been left by my grannies and other relatives. And in it, there is a Wedgwood plate. Now, I've always wondered about it, but why keep on wondering when you can come to the source to find the answers? Hello.
Started by Stoke's own Josiah Wedgwood in 1759, it remains a byword for quality in pottery to this day.
It's such a treat, actually, to see behind the scenes of what's happening, because you don't know, do you? You've got this stuff in your house and you don't know how it's made or who's made it. Do you know, I was a bit worried about coming here. I've got that condition when I go to the China department in a department store where I think I'm going to smash everything. It's an actual condition. So that's why I'm walking quite slowly with my arms by my sides, so that I don't jump over and just smash stuff. Hello. Hiya.
How's that?
Very good, in the car park. She's twirling the turntable, putting the coloured lines on the saucers by hand. How many do you do in a day?
But today we've done 1,000 pieces.
Right. Just 1,000?
Just 1,000.
Well, you know, keep going, eh?
Hand finishing is the key to quality and has been since Wedgwood started it all. Gemma at the on-site V&A Museum knows his story.
I know the name Josiah Wedgwood. I don't really know an awful lot about the man himself.
He was born in 1730 in Burslem into a family of potters, and he had a real aptitude for pottery. He was great on the wheel, he threw his own vases. Unfortunately, as a child, he developed smallpox.
Oh, for goodness sake.
Which meant that he actually developed a disability in his leg and he could no longer kick the potter's wheel.
So if he couldn't be an actual potter, what did he end up doing after that?
He ended up focusing a lot of his energy on the experimental side of ceramics.
After over 5,000 experiments, Wedgwood discovered his groundbreaking jasperware, a matte unglazed stoneware with decorative motifs that could be multicoloured.
Did it take off quite quickly for him?
He was very canny in how he marketed his products. For example, money-back guarantee if people weren't satisfied with the wares they received, and even things like buy one, get one free.
Wedgwood was one of the first to do a bog off.
There is a highlight in the collection that's a must-see.
This small but mighty object is the anti-slavery medallion. An emerging social issue in the late 18th century was the abolition of the slave trade. Josiah Wedgwood became involved with this, and his contribution was to produce these jasperware medallions.
Distributed for free, it shows a newly enslaved person in chains asking, "Am I not a man and a brother?"
People would wear them very much like a protest badge would be worn today.
That's incredibly powerful, isn't it? And the fact that these are still here blows my mind a bit, because these are the kind of things which could be lost, could be broken. There's so many things in this museum that are beautiful and wonderful, but that's the treasure for me.
Generations of potters have been inspired right here. And maybe I can be the next with the help of Lindsay.
Pushing with your hands like that. Yep. Pushing it in. Yeah, that's it.
I'm aiming to make a pot.
It's got to be very fast. Not bad.
It did look like this in the film Ghost, didn't it?
Yeah, like a cone, like so.
It's all a bit more physical than I'd thought.
Get this arm down. Just push down for me, yeah? Not too much with your thumbs, just with your hands.
More water.
And that's not the only challenge.
Can you push my glasses up there?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's it.
I'm sweating. Susan, get a grip.
Push that thumb down
Push
now.
that thumb down.
That's it. Okay, now with your foot, slow down the wheel.
I panicked, I'll be honest, I panicked.
Did I say a pot? I'm sure I meant a bowl.
It's an ashtray a 5-year-old would create for their parents.
Now I just need to get my creation safely off the wheel.
Cross the wheel really quick. Yes.
I think I've made a hole in the bottom.
Yes. There we go. And we just hide that bit. And there you go.
And I know just what to do with it.
What I'd like to present is something that one of the members of my family will receive for Christmas.
Okay.
Not saying which one. And who wouldn't want that?
Well, someone will.
Here at the Wedgwood factory, surrounded by some of the most beautiful, beautiful ceramic things. And this.
I might need to get them a selection box too. Just 30 miles north on the Cheshire Plain lies Jodrell Bank.
What I'm on the lookout for is something that apparently is so big you can't miss it. It is a mahusive, technical term, big telescope. And there it is, rising out of the countryside. I feel like Jodie Foster at the start of contact, waiting to find aliens or something.
The intergalactic Lovell telescope at George Robank Observatory is one of the biggest and most powerful radio wave telescopes in the world.
I mean, I saw it from the road, but it's only when you get up close to it you realise the scale of the thing. It is absolutely huge. Looks like it's positioned there, seeing if there is indeed life in outer space. It's amazing. Just in the middle of the countryside. I don't know a lot about telescopes, so I need to find out what's going on.
But in the meantime, my imagination is working overtime.
Feels like I'm in a restricted area, in a secret government project. I'm ready to run if the police come. But then I always am.
Professor Tim lives and breathes all things spacey.
Give me an idea of how powerful it is.
If you took your mobile phone and you went to Mars and you made a mobile phone call, we could detect that mobile phone call with this telescope here from Earth.
That's useful. I can't make a phone call from my back garden, Tim, because the signal seems to cut out when I'm next to a big wall.
When it was built in the 1950s, it was by far the largest telescope in the world, at 200 feet in diameter. It collects radio wave signals, allowing scientists to determine what was happening in distant galaxies.
So is this telescope helping look to see if there's something going on up there? Have you looked for aliens?
Yes, we've certainly done that.
Right.
We haven't picked up a signal from them yet, and I would have told you if we had, I promise.
I don't know if you would. I don't know if you would, Tim, because I can't hold my water. I'd be out there going, there are aliens! You'd be like, are you like me? Are you an aficionado of the sci-fi genre?
I am, yes.
Are you a fan of a programme called Doctor Who?
I certainly am a fan
yes!
of Doctor Who.
Come on, now. Right, when I was a kid, watching Doctor Who, travelling to planets, I just adored it. Did that spark something in you for your future career?
I'm sure it did. The few formative things I can remember related to space were watching Doctor Who, the first series of Star Trek, and the moon landings in 1969.
Did this actually appear in a Doctor Who episode?
There was an episode called Logopolis. Tom Baker as Doctor Who and the Master are up in that building at the top of the tower there, and there's a bit of a fight, and Tom Baker falls off and lands on the ground underneath, and it's at that point that he regenerates into Peter Davison.
I'm not going home. This is where I live now, right? I live with Tim in this telescope talking about Doctor Who. If someone could send a message to my wife and my cat children, this is where I live now.
But science fact can be just as thrilling. The telescope's power at gathering and channeling radio waves is mimicked in its smaller size siblings, which do the same with sound.
These two dishes on either side of us here, the whispering dishes, so you can just whisper and you can hear each other talk.
Right, you go that way, I'll go this way.
Tim, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
A chance to discuss weighty scientific matters.
Tim, who's your favourite Doctor Who villain?
Well, I've always liked the Master, of course, but I think I'm going to have to go for the Cybermen.
That's a really good choice. I really enjoy the Daleks because I'm a traditionalist. Thanks, Tim. I'll see you in a minute.
And he's just there.
And my cosmic adventure is continuing in the telescope's original 1950s control centre. It's like a retro TARDIS.
This is the control desk for the Lovell telescope.
Right. Go on, get out of the way. I mean, this is brilliant, that this is still here. There's a big red button. Now, that's what every control room needs. It needs a red button that someone goes, quickly, stop everything.
We actually think it's very important to keep some aspects of our history. And we actually tracked the Eagle lander that Armstrong and Aldrin landed on the moon. We got the telescope pointed towards the moon, and they're playing the signals back through speakers in this room, and you can hear the voices of the American astronauts as they're about to...
Would they have been able to do that?
Yeah.
One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
That's extraordinary, Tim. But you think about what's happened in this room, how momentous it was when people went to the moon. I think that's just incredible.
And today, the telescope is used to listen in on events millions of light years away, like the rotating of an exploded star, a pulsar.
This is one of my favourites. It's called the Vela pulsar.
It's a snare drum, isn't it?
Well,
it's that kind of...
And with that, we are able to test our theories of physics. So we're always in the hope that we'll prove Einstein wrong.
I'm just trying to prove my mum wrong sometimes. Like, we've got very different kind of levels of achievement, Tim. Yep,
But he still turns out to be right. I mean, your mum turns out to be right as well.
Yeah, OK, she does. Thank you so much. I feel like a kid again, watching those first episodes of Doctor Who. It's brilliant.
Coming up, indulgence with a sweet treat.
Flavours. Oh my goodness, they've got hundreds. Rocky Road, unicorn. Not even a unicorn. Oh.
And uncovering salty secrets.
Sorry, Mum, I've given up my job to make salt in Cheshire. Lock those cars with those roof racks on it for things. Don't need that with Helen. Literally like the TARDIS, this thing. You can have a double bed, 6 filing cabinets, and 3 horses in the back of this van. No bother.
I'm continuing my cosmic adventure in Cheshire with a quick stop off at a farm for a drive-in ice cream treat with Helen.
Oh, it looks lovely. There's a fountain. You scan the little code. Flavours. Oh my goodness, they've got hundreds. Rocky Road, salted caramel, unicorn. Not even a unicorn. Oh, I'm simple in my tastes. So I'm going to go for chocolate. And I'm going to go for vanilla. No, it's not dull. When I was younger, if we were really good, we got a Viennetta. But just like a little slice because it was posh.
Hello. Hi.
Here
Hello.
you go.
Thank you very much indeed.
As treats go, this is absolutely special, isn't it? A wee bit of ice cream. Lovely view. Brought to me by a nice lady in a golf buggy. Oh, it's like the future.
Well, the future may be sweet, but in Cheshire, the past is very much salty. It's been a part of this place since Roman times.
When I was growing up, salt was salt. You had salt and pepper on the table, and that's what it was. And I seem to recall adding quite a lot of salt to my meals when I was younger. And it's only recently I've discovered fancy salt. It's pink Himalayan salt that my sister brought me back from somewhere very fancy.
18 miles northeast is the salty town of Northwich. Apparently, if a Cheshire place has witch in the name, it's a fair bet it was once big in the salt business. And few were bigger than here at the Lyons Salt Works. Built in the late 19th century, it's one of only 4 places left in the world where salt was produced by open pan. Kate works here and knows her salt.
This place looks amazing. Where am I?
The Lyons Salt Works is a scheduled ancient monument, which means that it's historically as significant as Hadrian's Wall and Stonehenge.
It's amazing.
It's here because this is where the salt is underneath our feet. 2 massive layers of it formed about 250 million years ago. I've got a bit of that rock salt in my pocket.
Up to 300-metre thick layers of rock salt lay sandwiched between mud. And over 2,000 years ago, people discovered salty water brine pools coming to the surface.
The brine here is 8 times saltier than seawater.
That's really salty.
These works, which pumped up the brine 40 metres below the ground and processed it in large pans, made salt for nearly 100 years, exporting it all over the world, from Nigeria to New Zealand.
This shed here, that's one of the salt pans.
This is pan 4.
I wasn't quite expecting that.
Yes.
It's massive.
About the size of half a tennis court, with a big furnace underneath. It'd be filled with brine, and then gradually the water would boil off, and you'd be left with the salt crystals. The boiling pans would be boiling steam
This place is incredibly atmospheric. What would it have been like, though, working here?
It would have been really hard work, very hot, long days. It was a 6-day boil. They were using these huge, big rakes to catch the salt and bring it to the side of the pan.
It's dangerous work. You've basically got an open pan of boiling hot, salty water in front of you.
The steam, which is full of salt, and so it gets into your clothes. So what they tended to do was they worked shirtless.
This stopped salty steam in the clothes, leading to cuts in the skin, which would then sting as, quite literally, there would be salt in the wound.
What I love to think of, though, like the Texan oil industry, the brine coming up and people hundreds of years ago realising there was something to this.
It defines how Cheshire is. So without the salt, we wouldn't have the communities. Without the salt, we wouldn't have the industries.
George gives visitors demonstrations of just how the salt was created, of course, in a much smaller pan.
Tell me what's happening here.
We take the brine, there it is, and we add it into the pan. And as you can see, the salt forms.
But no shirtless gathering today. In fact, it's best to wear more, not less.
You'd be worried if you were in hospital and I approached you, wouldn't you?
With those gloves
Don't
on,
worry,
yes.
which leg is it? Just keep moving it round.
Yeah, keep it moving about, otherwise the salt will burn on the bottom of the pan. So, as you can see, the salt is forming.
It's amazing to see it. What I find really fascinating is the process that happened all that time ago. There was no better way of doing it. They just made it bigger. It's an extraordinary thing.
And George knows talent when he sees it.
You're going to do very well here. Do you want another job?
Sorry, Mum, I've given up my job again to make salt in Cheshire. Do you know, it wouldn't surprise her.
And I'm afraid I have a confession for George.
I was appalling at science at school. Got a C in chemistry, George. It was my only C.
Oh, well.
But now it all becomes clear to me.
It's the end of my adventure on this illuminating journey.
One of the things I hold on to most dearly as I get older is the ability to still be surprised by the world. I've travelled a lot of ground on this journey. But everywhere I've gone, I've discovered something unexpected. People who have changed the world, but who still resonate today. It's been pretty epic, hasn't it?
Next time, I'm diving into delightful Devon.
What a view.
In search of a touch of class.
My carriage awaits.
Experiencing extraordinary engineering.
Oh, flaming heck. Hey.
Revealing record-holding beauty.
This is incredible.
And having a lot of laughs along the way.
It's a volcano! See, see.
Desperately in need of some vitamin D this November. Brighten up your weekend with our bargain-loving Brits in the Sun, new Sunday at 8. And tonight, it's Fortnum & Mason's premium products versus Lidl's budget offers as we ask who does Christmas better next.